In the summer of 1944, a British tank crew in Normandy spotted a boxy gray silhouette through the hedgerows. They didn't check their manuals. They didn't wait for orders. They simply abandoned their tank and ran. Statistically, they had a better chance of winning the lottery than actually encountering a German Tiger. There were only a handful of them left in all of France. But the Tiger wasn't just a tank. It was a psychological virus. It was called Tiger-Phobia. The mere rumor of its presence could paralyze an entire Allied division. On paper, the Tiger was the apex predator of human history. It was a 54-ton masterpiece of croup steel that could shrug off Allied shells like they were pebbles. But behind the myth of invincibility lay a terrifying system error. Subscribe for more stories where legendary machines fail for very human reasons. The Tiger didn't fail because it wasn't good enough. It failed because it was too good for the world it was trying to conquer. This is the story of the masterpiece that committed industrial suicide, and why the most feared weapon of Del Eswi was ultimately defeated by a failed $5 bearing. To understand the Tiger, you have to understand the logistical fog of the Third Reich. In aviation, pilots experience spatial disorientation. They think they're climbing when they're actually diving. Germany suffered from this on a national scale. The Tiger was built like a precision Swiss watch. Its 8.8-centimeter gun could snipe a moving target from 2 miles away. Its armor was nearly impenetrable from the front. In individual duels, the Tiger was godlike. At Villers-Bocage, a single Tiger commander, Michael Wittmann, erased 14 tanks and 15 carriers in just 15 minutes. These outlier victories created a lethal illusion. The German High Command began to believe that technical superiority could replace numerical reality. But the Tiger wasn't fighting a duel. It was fighting a war of attrition. While the Americans were mass-producing the Sherman, a good enough tank, the Germans were building a Ferrari that required a team of specialized surgeons just to change a tire. Nowhere was this hubris more apparent than in the Tiger's wheels. To handle 54 tons, engineers used the Schachtellaufwerk system, a complex web of overlapping interleaved wheels. On a paved road in Germany, it provided a smooth, stable ride. But at the Battle of Kursk, the largest tank battle in history, this masterpiece met the Russian winter. The chalky soil of Kursk wasn't like the training grounds. When it rained, the mud would pack into the spaces between the interleaved wheels. At night, that mud would freeze solid, turning the wheels into a single block of ice. In the morning, Tiger crews would wake up to find their invincible monsters literally frozen to the earth. Of the 146 Tigers committed to Kursk, mechanical breakdowns claimed more casualties than Soviet shells in the first 3 days. The most advanced tank in the world was rendered useless by frozen dirt. This was the first major logic glitch in the Tiger's design. It was an indoor machine trying to survive an outdoor war. The Tiger's weight was its greatest strength, but it was also its tether to the grave. Every Tiger required a dedicated recovery vehicle, the Bergepanzer, which was essentially another Tiger hull with a crane. If a Tiger broke down and a Bergepanzer wasn't nearby, the tank was a 54-ton paperweight. Fuel consumption was a vicious cycle. A Tiger needed a fleet of supply trucks to bring fuel forward. But because the Tiger was so heavy, those trucks burned their own fuel just trying to reach the front. The deeper the Germans advanced, the more the logistical horizon tilted. The German command was obsessed with the tactical altimeter. How many Shermans did we kill? They ignored the strategic artificial horizon. Do we have the spare parts to move 10 kilometers tomorrow? They thought they were climbing. They were in a terminal dive. July 1944. Normandy. Lieutenant Fischer sits in his Tiger near Cannes. Behind him, the 700-horsepower Maybach engine isn't roaring. It's screaming. It's been running hot for 3 days because the manuals required 12-hour maintenance check is an impossibility in the middle of an Allied breakout. Through his periscope, Fischer sees the system error of American industry. Dozens of Shermans are appearing. They aren't trying to outshoot him. They are flowing around him like water around a stone. Fischer kills 3, but the transmission temperature gauge is redlining. A single bearing in the final drive, overstrained by the weight, is grinding itself into dust. Then comes the radio call. Retreat. Fall back 20 kilometers. For Fischer, this is the end. He has 5 kilometers of life left in his transmission. There are no recovery vehicles, no spare parts. The supply convoy was vaporized by P-47 Thunderbolts yesterday. The mathematics are brutal. Moving the Tiger will destroy it. Staying means capture. Fischer orders his crew out. They don't wait for the enemy. They set the charges. White-hot thermite grenades melt through the precision machine gun breech and the intricate transmission. 65,000 man-hours of labor and 17 tons of rare metals are reduced to a molten slag heap. This scene was repeated across the Western Front. Of the 126 Tigers sent to Normandy, fewer than 15 made it back to Germany. The Allies didn't have to knock them out. They just had to make them drive. Why are we still obsessed with the Tiger? Because it won the propaganda war even while it was losing the physical one. The Tiger's over-engineering created a myth of invincibility that outlasted the Third Reich. Allied tankers in 1944 reported seeing Tigers everywhere. Most of them were just Panzer IVs with extra plates. The fear was so total that it changed how the Allies fought. But modern military science learned the Tiger's lesson in reverse. The M1 Abrams and the Leopard 2 are designed around the principle that reliability is a weapon. The Abrams can go 2,500 miles between overhauls. Its engine can run on anything from diesel to perfume. These aren't accidents, they are reforms written in the ghost data of thousands of abandoned Tigers. The Tiger was a masterpiece in the same way the Concorde was a masterpiece of aviation. It was technically brilliant, but operationally unaffordable. It was a solution for a duel in a war that was actually a demolition derby. In war, the tank that arrives beats the tank that's perfect. The Tiger didn't fail because it wasn't good enough. It failed because it was too good for the mud, the ice, and the sheer messy reality of a world that doesn't care about engineering perfection.